The journey to faithfully recreate the boundless sky began not with satellites, but with 4 kilobytes of memory in a single programmer's dream. For over 4 decades, one digital frontier has invited us to slip the surly bonds of Earth from our living room chairs. The quest for realism has soared from pixelated horizons to a breathtaking digital twin of our entire planet. With constant updates and a reach that spans PCs and consoles, it's time we chart the remarkable flight path of this legendary simulator. For aspiring aviators and virtual explorers, history has never offered a more immersive cockpit. So, prepare for departure. This is the complete chronicle of a software titan that taught the world to fly. Our story begins with a visionary named Bruce Artwick. In the late 1970s, he founded a company called Sublogic, driven by a passion for both aviation and the emerging world of personal computing. Artwick and his team created software that would plant the seed for everything that followed. This initial effort, simply titled Flight Simulator for the Apple II in 1979, was a marvel for its time. It ran on machines with less processing power than a modern calculator, presenting a monochrome wireframe world of simple lines, representing runways, a horizon, and a basic aircraft. This was the humble genesis, a proof of concept that flight could be simulated on a screen. Microsoft, seeing the potential for both education and entertainment, soon expressed interest. Securing the license from Sublogic, they unveiled Microsoft Flight Simulator 1.0 in 1982. This version, often referred to as FS1, marked the official beginning of the Microsoft era. It was a significant step up, introducing color graphics for the first time, which allowed for a blue sky and a green ground. It also featured variable weather conditions and a day-night cycle, adding crucial layers of atmosphere. Advertisements from the era made bold claims about its authenticity as a training tool, claims that, while perhaps optimistic, signaled the ambitious goals of the project. A charming and often forgotten feature of this inaugural release was the Europe 1917 mode. Here, players could take control of a Sopwith Camel, one of the most famous fighter planes of World War I, navigating a simple grid-divided map and engaging in basic combat with enemy biplanes. This playful diversion hinted at the potential for more than just civilian flight. The ascent continued steadily. Version 2.0 launched in 1984, bringing with it minor but important improvements to graphical precision and flight modeling. Critically, it expanded the player's control options by introducing support for external devices like the joystick and the mouse, moving beyond the keyboard for a more tactile experience. Each iteration was a step closer to the horizon of realism. By the time Flight Simulator 4.0 arrived in 1989, the virtual world was gaining complexity. It introduced dynamic scenery objects like buildings and vehicles that would appear in Movant, a system for random weather generation. The aircraft models themselves received upgrades, and the package included special modes that continued the combat theme, letting players relive aerial battles of the past. But the true graphical leap, the moment the simulator began to visually resemble the world we know, arrived with Flight Simulator 5.0 in late 1993. This was the landmark release that introduced texture-mapped scenery. Instead of flat colors or simple patterns, the ground was now covered with repetitive bitmap textures that gave the illusion of fields, forests, and urban areas from a distance. This transformed bland, colored planes into something recognizable. The aircraft models were enhanced with more detailed polygons, where the systems became more sophisticated. And for the very first time in the series, authentic sound effects filled the virtual cockpit. The whoosh of wind, the rumble of engines, these audio cues were as revolutionary as the textures. Furthermore, artificial intelligence was introduced, allowing computer-controlled aircraft to share the sky, making the world feel less empty. The mid-90s ushered in the CD-ROM era, enabling a massive explosion of data. Flight Simulator 5.1, released in 1995, was the first to take advantage of this new storage medium. It incorporated low-resolution satellite imagery to create more realistic terrain colorations, added a plethora of new weather effects including dramatic storms, and offered tools for dedicated users to build their own airports and cockpit panels. Following the launch of Windows 95, Microsoft released a dedicated version for the new operating system, which offered better performance and expanded its geographical focus by including major airports outside of Europe and the United States for the first time. Then came Flight Simulator 98, a title that truly harnessed the new power of consumer 3D graphics cards through Microsoft's own DirectX technology. This allowed for the rendering of true 3D environments, moving beyond sprite-based objects. The game was a commercial smash, selling over 1 million copies. It delivered smoother performance, more intricately modeled airports, and for the first time, distinct engine and ambient sounds for different aircraft types. It even included a helicopter, expanding the types of flight possible. But the relentless push for visual fidelity came with a cost. Flight Simulator 2000, released in 1999, was notoriously demanding. It required a high-end computer to run properly, and even on expensive systems, frame rates would often stutter in dense urban areas. Yet, its ambitions were undeniable. It introduced rain and snow effects, allowed players to download real-world weather data to match conditions in their simulation, and added iconic aircraft like the Boeing 777 and the supersonic Concorde. Most staggering of all, it added 17,000 airports to the database, bringing the in-game total to over 20,000. The new millennium brought with it unforeseen turbulence. Flight Simulator 2002 was released in 2001. Shortly after the September 11th terrorist attacks, the simulator found itself at the center of a painful controversy when reports indicated that hijackers had used similar software for planning, out of respect for the victims and the sensitivity of the moment. Microsoft made the difficult decision to abruptly remove the World Trade Center towers from the New York City skyline within the game. Technically, this version was a step forward, introducing a functional air traffic control system for pilots to communicate with, and further refining the AI of computer-controlled traffic. A more celebratory note was struck in 2004, with Flight Simulator 2004, Century of Flight, released to honor the 100th anniversary of the Wright brothers' first powered flight. It featured several historical aircraft, including a flyable model of the Wright Flyer itself. The weather system received a major overhaul, now generating three-dimensional volumetric clouds that varied based on real-world regional data, making storms and cloud formations dramatically more realistic. Then, in 2006, Flight Simulator X arrived, pushing the experience into a new era of engagement. It offered higher resolution textures, a more structured mission system, and a revolutionary multiplayer experience that allowed one player to act as an air traffic controller for another, or for two players to crew a single aircraft. Its iconic, sweeping orchestral menu music, composed by Stan Leppard, a veteran who also worked on the Halo franchise, became instantly memorable for a generation of players. But after this peak, the skies fell silent. For 14 long years, there was no new mainline entry. Fans wondered, had the series reached its final destination? Would it ever return? The answer, when it finally came in August 2020, was a resounding and revolutionary yes. Microsoft Flight Simulator, often called MSFS 2020, didn't just return. It completely redefined the genre and surpassed all expectations. Critics and players universally hailed it as a masterpiece, awarding it top scores and Simulation of the Year awards. The reason was its groundbreaking technology. Instead of handcrafting every square mile, the simulator used Bing Maps, satellite imagery, and Microsoft's Azure Cloud AI to stitch together a photorealistic 3D model of the entire Earth. It generated realistic buildings, trees, and terrain on a global scale. You could fly anywhere over the pyramids of Giza, the skyscrapers of Shanghai, or your own childhood home. This was combined with a live weather engine that pulled real-time meteorological data, so you could fly through an actual hurricane forming in the Atlantic or a blizzard over the Alps. The level of realism was, and remains, breathtaking. The demand for this experience was so intense that it sparked a global shortage of flight sticks and throttles. As newcomers and veterans alike scrambled for hardware, the simulator turned the dream of global exploration into a desktop reality. It launched in 3 editions: Standard Deluxe and Premium Deluxe each, offering more handcrafted airports and highly detailed aircraft, from small training planes to jumbo jets. The development team at Asobo Studio has supported it relentlessly with 2 parallel streams of updates: sim updates that refine the core flight physics, aircraft systems, and user interface, and world updates that focus on enhancing specific regions of the globe with improved aerial photography, accurate landmarks, and corrected airport layouts. Beyond these core improvements, the platform has welcomed exciting expansions that add new dimensions of play. The Renault Air Races expansion introduced high-speed low-altitude pylon racing with dedicated planes and global leaderboards. In a brilliant cross-promotion, the Top Gun Maverick expansion was released as free downloadable content, adding the FA-18 Super Hornet Dark Star hypersonic plane and a fully functional aircraft carrier to the sim, complete with training missions inspired by the film. From those first, simple wireframe vectors to a living, breathing digital planet, this is more than a game. It's a testament to 4 decades of relentless technological ambition. It's the ongoing story of how we reached for the digital heavens and, through iteration, innovation, and cloud-powered magic, finally grasped them. If you enjoyed this flight through history, help Winds of Thought soar by liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into the stories behind our digital world. Where should we explore next? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for flying with us.